everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are at the moment. So happy to see you on our regular Tuesdays. I am your host, Natalia. We are here for Life Strategies with Nat. That's me, for the entrepreneurial woman. I'm really excited today because we have a special guest expert. Her name is Mojca Henigman, and she is a mindset coach. And she's also an NLP practitioner. NLP, if you haven't heard me mention it before, stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And it's all about how you speak to yourself. Really important. Really, really important. So I'm super excited to have Mojca joining us. And just while we're waiting for her to hop on, as you know, I'm always doing this at the beginning when I have a few guest experts or when I have my guest experts. But if you're new to the show, I'm here every week and I'm talking about life strategies, basically helping you create your dream life and your dream business by giving you strategies that can help you reduce overwhelm, eliminate confusion, and just really get into the space where you have an unstoppable mindset, where you can do anything and everything that you could possibly ever imagine, because you can. And I see Mojca's here, so I'm just going to see if I can add her now. Here we go. Just one sec. So exciting. There she is. Hello.
Weird image of me. Can you see me well?
I can see you very well. Thank you.
Okay. It looks distorted on my end, but that's fine if you can see me fine.
Oh, yeah, I see you perfectly. Thanks so much for joining. I'm so happy to have you here.
Great to be with you, Nat. I love it.
Oh, I love it too. Mojca and I, we actually connected, I would say, the beginning of the year, and we found that we had so much in common. And we both love our mindset, and we both love helping women. We do work with men as well, but we're both female entrepreneurs, and that's just the space we feel more comfortable. So as you're logging in, guys, give us a hashtag hello, or just say hello. We'd love to make this as interactive as possible. And let us know where you're calling from. Even if you're on the replay, give us a hashtag replay, and we'll come in and make sure that we say hello. So Mojca, I'm so excited to have you here. Why don't we start off by just maybe introducing yourself and telling people a little bit about what you do?
Yes. So I was so excited when you said to come on your live and speak, about what I do. I'm so passionate about courage, right? So finding our courage, because I really see it one of the first things that one needs to the first step, even before confidence, in order to be able to really show up in the world, we need courage. So where that showed up in my life before coaching, way before, is I always had this appetite, I would say, for adventure. I love traveling, exploring other cultures, love languages. And whilst I have so many interests, and from early age as a kid already, I just dipped into so many different kind of pools, as you say. And then in my early 20s, I was at the end with my studies, sort of, went as broad as I could, communication. I did enjoy it, but it was like, what am I here to do? What is my path in life, And I took the plunge. That was one of the first bigger plunges I took. And I moved to London, actually quite spontaneously. Came to visit a friend for 2 months. Ended up staying, now 11 years. So that was the first courageous move that I really think was very important in my life for me to be where I am. And then after years in the corporate world and really trying to, I guess, live this kind of life that you expect for yourself, that somehow you think will be your life, and then you realize, wow, I don't feel like I'm here. Like I can't see myself here, feeling like is something wrong with me, or why can't I just be okay with this, And then starting to accept that actually there are different paths in life. And before my coaching, I did have another business, and that's what eventually got me out of the corporate world. That was my second big plunge. In 2014, I decided, okay, I've dabbled with this business. It was a fine tea business, so connected with my travels. Me and my partner traveled in Asia, in Japan. everything fell together in a way that was like, wow, we have to do this. Like the way we met people, in the way they sort of died at ease. Anyway, in 2014, to cut the story short, we've been sort of dabbling with it on the side for a while. And we had some success. We were in Selfridges, we were on Amazon, we were selling on like food shows. So there were some successes for sure. And I was like, okay, I need to try this. If I don't do this now, I will regret it forever. And I didn't really see myself in that direction, so I went for it. And 2 years down the line, amazing learning experience, met great people. But what I really sort of found out about myself, I guess, was clarity, that the moments I enjoyed the most were when I was interacting with people directly. It was at food shows, it was doing tea tastings, it was, connecting with our suppliers and sourcing the teas. I was like, and not so much being in the background on my own at home, securing the wholesale deals and stuff. And was that is important in business, it became so clear to me that I need work where I can be connecting with people more as a primary, as a core activity in my business. And because I need variety. I learned so much about myself in that experience. And then that's how, so to cut the story short, in 2016, I discovered coaching right in 2013 for the first time when I still had my tea business. And I just sort of used it as a tool for myself to, because I've been a personal development junkie for, for probably 20 years now. I'm in my mid-30s. And so I didn't see myself in that role at the time, but in the 2016, I was going through some, kind of difficult personal growth time, and I was completing this giant, I would say, it was giant in my head, I guess, project that I left at home when I left. So I'm originally from Slovenia. When I moved away, I finished all my studies, but I had my thesis to finish, and that sort of, when I moved to England, that sort of just stayed on the back burner. And then in 2016, I was like, okay, what am I doing here? I want, like, am I going to finish this or what? And I really, tuned into myself and who am I doing this for? And I was like, no, I want to do this. I want to finish. It's not just to have a degree, but to sort of even not prove to myself, but almost like to build my character. Like, I know I can do this, so why am I not doing it? And I really stepped into, into the person I wanted to be. And I did it with flying colors, no less. But at the same time, and that's why I'm going to come to what I do with people. At the same time, I felt like I was doing things for the right reasons. I was really following that inner sense of, I need to do this and I need to do this way, and sort of trusting that I'm, going down the right path, and things just started falling into place. I was looking for a sort of a bridge job at the time, because I realized that the tea business is not gonna be my sort of long term. I felt I needed to engage more with people. I was, I felt too isolated. So that's why I said it was quite a difficult time from that point of view. And then this email landed in my inbox around the same time. It was very kind of hectic with my thesis. I felt like, oh, I need to start, sort of an email landed with a job that I really resonated with, which was in a theater. And then also all in a span of a few weeks, this email landed about the coaching. And I was like, oh my God, this sounds really interesting. And it was 3 years after I'd done those first 2 days. And like a light bulb just went off. And I was like, I'm meant to do this. And I applied, and, it was some sort of selection process. And I had a conversation with the guy, and I just felt so amazingly on track. And from the moment I started studying, I was like, oh my God, this is it. When you really find that thing. And that's what I work with people a lot. I love working with people that have that sense of, I want to live my purpose, not just, I don't, there's no judgment if you just want to do your job and enjoy your life in the free time. We all have the right to live the life as we want it. But I find it so exciting to live from that place of, purpose. So, so I do love working with purpose-driven women, which I know a lot of entrepreneurial women, we are that. So we all have that sense of, we want to bring something to the world.
Amazing. I love your story. There were so many similarities I can sense in my own, and probably with a lot of women or that people in general that are watching this, because you talked about a few things in there, like, hey, Sakshi, by the way, thanks for being here. And, it was like, you felt it. You felt something inside you that was like, I need to do this, or I don't need to do this. Like, but more so, I need to do this. And then taking that inspired action. Like, I love that. And so maybe we can start off with, what does courage mean to you?
Yeah. So courage, as a, if I have to, throw out a definition for me, is pretty much our willingness to be vulnerable. It's really because when this vulnerability, right? Oh, it's always about doing something that you feel uncomfortable about, and there's always some sort of fear, behind it. However, it might be disguised, right? But it's always about going beyond that and realizing that something else is stronger than that fear, that something else is more important than that fear, and that almost gives you that strength, that courage to come and just, and act despite the fear. Because if there is no fear, you don't need courage, really. Then you can just do things, right? It's always about overcoming some sort of discomfort, and in my understanding, there's always some layer of fear there. And why I said at the beginning I'm so passionate speaking about courage, and I have a Facebook group as well that focuses around that, is because I see it. I know we all want confidence, right, and success and all that, but confidence, how I understand it, is you need to go out and do it and build it through doing. But if you don't even get to that first step of doing it, and you need courage for that, because there's this comfort in doing something new and challenging, and you always risk something potentially, how you'll be perceived, or, criticized or judged or fail, or, even though I don't believe in failure, I think there's always a way to reframe that. There's always learning. But yeah, pretty much, I think the courage is that necessary step to live a life that is really meaningful. Because the bigger the fear, the more important that thing is to do. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and when I say the bigger the fear, usually how it manifests is the resistance. The bigger the resistance to something that we want to do, the more important it is, and the more crucial it is that you do cultivate courage to go for it.
I
So
love
yeah.
that, because that comes up all the time. And I'm sure it comes up for you in your coaching, but especially in my mentorship program, and when I'm speaking with clients, it always comes up. It's that resistance to fear. And it's like, the more, I love how you said, the more you feel it, you just have to do it. And because
Yeah.
people all the time are like, well, how do you do it? And it's like, you just have to take baby steps, right? And then I think what else we were talking about, and I wanted to ask you, how does self-care come into this? Like, how does self-care come into it? And what is your, what is self-care for you, if I could ask you that?
Yeah. Oh, I love actually the overlap of courage and self-care, because I see them as quite interdependent. Because if you want to be courageous, you need that sense of self-belief, and you need to feel like you are on your side, like you're your best friend, like you have a good relationship with yourself, right? And just look at any good relationship, right? A relationship in your life that you consider good, you care about the other person. And it's right there. You have to care about yourself in order to have that strong relationship, so that you can be courageous and really pursue, your dreams in the end. And that's how I see self-care is really supporting us to be able to live the life we want to live. And at the same time, funnily enough, it's self-care is often sadly still seen as selfish, that dreaded word. And sadly, I say, because the thing is, if we don't look after ourselves, we can't look after anyone in the end. When you're at the airplane, that uh, familiar to everyone probably analogy, you have to put your own oxygen mask on first before anyone else, even your child. Even if your instinct tells you, oh, I should care for someone else first, actually you need to take care of yourself. And how I see courage play into that is that we often have to be quite courageous and set the boundaries, and to make room for self-care in our life, for things that really nourish us, and also be courageous in terms of really seeing through our own, I guess, excuses sometimes. Because self-care is really about doing things that nourish you, doing things that strengthen you, that replenish you. And it's not always about taking a nap or being on your own. Sometimes you need the opposite. Sometimes you need extra action, and that's the care you need. Does that make sense?
I love that. I love that. Like, that is probably one of my favorite definitions or perspectives that I've heard in a really long time. And it's something that I completely agree with. Um, you have to be healthy from the inside out first if you want to be able to be 110% or even be at 100% for everyone else. And it's so funny how we tend to confuse that. We tend to say, no, no, I have to take care of everyone else, and then I'll have time for myself, and then I'll be happy, and all this other stuff. And I love how you said it so eloquently. I loved it. Um, if you were to say, because I'm sure everyone listening is like, okay, yes, I know I need to do things. I know I need to find my courage. And I think you've given us a lot of ways and how we can do that. But if, let's say, there was one thing that you could say, maybe leave people with and say, okay, do this one thing and you'll be able to kind of get through it or find your courage, what would you say that is?
Yeah. So, I would say there's two things. And one is what I said before, right? Reframe that sort of challenging situation where you feel like, oh, I can't move on, I can't move forward with this. And rather than thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me, or I'm probably not supposed to do that, that's the inner saboteur. That's the part of your mind that is really scared about you being exposed or criticized or in any way, shamed, etc. But if you don't take any steps, if you don't take risks, you can't, expect to get your dream or achieve your dream. So it's about reframing that difficulty as a sign of, okay, rather than something's wrong with me, it means because I feel this fear, it means this is really important. So I would keep that in mind first. Just be that a sign that, okay, this really matters to me. So you get that more motivation when you put it that way, right? And rather than seeing, oh, I shouldn't do that. No, I should do that. So that's the first. And the second, what I would love to leave people with is how powerful awareness is. And I mean awareness in terms of self-care specifically, right? Like I said before, our lives are not always the same, especially for entrepreneurial people. Things change, so fast. And sometimes you need rest, sometimes you need company, sometimes you need, go out and be inspired, and other times you need to just chill on your lawn in the garden or something, So really being aware of what you need right now is really powerful, I think, because it also strengthens that connection with yourself, tuning in with yourself and checking what do I need, and then giving yourself that. And that's really powerful when when you're nurturing that relationship with yourself, so that you can, so you're sort of your own inner supporter. You strengthen that part in yourself. And I wanted to. Do we have time for a quick process now?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'd love
Yeah.
it.
So I wanted to guide people through this really quite brief but really powerful process that I was blown away when I was first led through. And it gives us a really great snapshot of our needs like right now. And what I would encourage people, just follow along as I lead you through it, and just rather than create things, just allow things to emerge and see what your subconscious brings up, because that's what you actually need now. Okay, so it's called Dreaming a Perfect Day. And rather than this being your, perfect day as in, oh, I won the lottery, this is my perfect day, or your wedding day, or I met the love of my life, perfect day, right? Those extraordinary days. Rather, an ordinary day, but as if it went, if you imagine it go perfectly. You kind of an ordinary, working day, whatever, but dreamed perfectly. So, and just imagine it from the moment you wake up and as you go through your day, how it goes. Okay? All right, so I encourage everyone to just close your eyes. I won't be closing, or maybe I will be closing mine as well. Just close your eyes and just follow along with us.
I'm gonna do it with you too.
Take a deep breath and sort of ground yourself a little bit. And just imagine your perfect day, your regular day going in a perfect way. From the moment that you wake up and get up from your bed, and just allow the imagery to come up. Just what are you doing, and how does the environment look like? What might you be hearing or saying to yourself? Allow breathing. Just allow the imagery to come up, and notice how you feel in your perfect day. Any sensations in your body, the emotions. Notice the pace of your day. And notice how you move from one part of the day to the next. How are those transitions? And you can, allow as many details come up as they want, or very big picture information. Just allow it to come up, and as the day starts to wind down, notice how that is. And just allow anything that wants to emerge, emerge. And as you go to bed, how are you feeling? Perfect day. And just notice what stood out to you. What did you have more of in that day? And what was there less of in your perfect day? And take another deep breath, and when you're ready, open your eyes.
That was lovely.
Yeah, and that might be a bit short. It could be a bit longer. People can do it on their own if they like, and just allow, that whatever wants to come up, and the information from really our subconscious to surface.
You remind me of one of my favorite things that I always say. It's like, forget the how and just allow. It's like something so simple. And one of my coaches, I heard it, and it's just one of those little things that always sticks with me, because we can get so caught up in how do I do this, that we just sometimes just need to just do exactly that. Close your eyes for 5 minutes and just visualize. Even I did this recently with one of my clients. She was feeling a bit overwhelmed about all the things that she had to do, and I said, go to tomorrow and visualize what it is that you would have done that day, and pick like 1 or 2, 3 things, like 3 max. But we tend to have these huge to-dos, and anyway, that's a different episode, but
But I see exactly what you mean, and maybe in some, in that person's perfect day, what she would have would be like a to-do list of 3 items, all those things.
I love
when
that.
When I went through this process, I'm just going to share a little bit of what really was so powerful for me was when I went into the process. I felt quite kind of frantic. There was a lot going on, and I was like, oh, and first was the grounding, which was nice, but then what came out was like my day was so easeful. Like I was so present I was making my morning tea. I woke up and I looked at my partner. I was really grateful to have woken up next to him. I went to the kitchen and I made my tea with absolutely I was just focused on the tea. I moved to the next thing. There was so my big sort of information was no rushing. Oh my God, And that's what I needed in that moment, was not rushing, but being present to the moment and moving gracefully to the next moment. And just like you said, so often we have this huge list and we feel like if we are more frantic, we're going to be more productive, but actually it's the other way around. And that's another thing about self-care. When you do invest in yourself, just like, organizations, right? If they are forward thinking, they will be seeing their people as an asset, not as a cost.
Yeah.
And the same when we invest in ourselves in our businesses, because we are our people in our business, right? So it's about investing in ourselves.
Absolutely.
Oh, I feel like taking another breath.
Oh, thank you so much, Mojca. That was fantastic. And I appreciate you leading us through that meditation at the end, that process. And it's a wonderful process for anyone that's listening or who hasn't tried it ever before. Just picturing your ideal day, and even as your ideal outcomes, try to think of try to think of your days like that. What is the ideal outcome that I want to achieve? And
Exactly.
yeah, so Mojca, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way that they can?
So I'm the most active on my Facebook page. It's
Okay.
just my name. I think you linked to it possibly in this post. So I post fresh content there, and then I also have a website, which is it's very simple, just my name, mojcahenigman.com. I have a blog, I have a few different things, and so actually, if you don't mind me mentioning, one of the ways that next week I'm running a workshop online. If anybody's interested in that. The information is on my website as well, and it's about the taming our inner critic, which definitely is a big sort of dampening effect on our courage. So I thought that was appropriate in this context.
Amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. And Stacey, I see that you just joined us. Would love for you. You might want to come join or catch back from the beginning, but so great to have you here. And Sakshi, sorry, I missed your comment, but let me see if I can get it exactly. We should have courage to follow our heart and intuition. They somehow already know what we truly want to become or have. Absolutely. I love that. So, thank you all for joining us. Mojca, it's been a pleasure to have you, and wishing you all a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Lots of love.
Bye, everyone. Bye.